The FDA just issued a warning that tattoo inks could lead to sepsis. Hi, I'm Dr. Messina, and we're going to discuss what this is, how you can tell if you're getting an infection after getting your tattoo, what the signs and symptoms are, and exactly what sepsis is, and how you get to that point in the first place. Whenever you get a tattoo, it's important that the skin be sterilized, as sterile as possible, because you don't want to press any bacteria that might be on the surface of your skin down into your dermis, which is where that tattoo machine's needle is going, and it's placing that ink deep into your dermis. The ink itself is not FDA regulated, which means it's really kind of like the wild, wild west in the ink world. I always thought that the ink manufacturers at some point did some kind of a heat sterilization on the ink. However, after reading the article, I'm not sure if that happens. So you could have a contaminant in the ink itself that's now being pressed into your dermis. You could also get contaminated by the artist diluting the ink with water, either distilled water or tap water, but in any event, it should be sterile water. Now, you can't simply boil the water and say, okay, it's sterile now. It has to be a sterilely produced water. So how do you know if you're developing an infection? Unfortunately, some of the earliest signs of infection are the identical signs that you get with the normal healing process of having a tattoo. It might seem raised, it might seem itchy, it might look bumpy, it might even be tender. And unfortunately, those are the same type of symptoms you're going to get with a very early bacterial infection. However, if it gets worse and it starts to become very red, very tender, it becomes warm, you start to feel feverish, then you might be developing an infection, and it's very important to jump on top of it quickly. Bacteria could double every 4 to 20 minutes. So that small infection can become quite large in a very short period of time. If you are developing signs of an infection, it's very important to get it treated very quickly. So I would go to either an urgent center or speak to your doctor and start an antibiotic right away. They might even culture it should pus be coming out already to find out exactly what type of bacteria it is. The most common bacteria associated with tattoo infections are Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, and Pseudomonal infections. Now, those three are not that difficult to treat unless you get the vancomycin-resistant staph or the MRSA. Those are going to be a little more difficult to treat. So that small infection could become quite large in a very short period of time. Now, this deeper infection in your dermis can spread very quickly. And if it gets into your bloodstream, that's when sepsis begins. You start circulating these bacteria throughout your body. Basically, every organ system is getting bathed with blood and bacteria. You're going to get a high fever. You're going to start to sweat. You're going to increase your respiratory rate and your pulse. Then things are going to get worse. You're going to start to develop hemodynamic collapse. The blood pressure is going to start to bottom out. You might go into respiratory failure, where you might have to be put onto a ventilator. So sepsis is a very fatal complication of a bacterial infection. So it's very important to jump on any type of skin infection after you have a tattoo immediately to avoid it developing into a sepsis. So I hope now you know what to look for after getting a tattoo. If it seems out of the ordinary, get it checked. You're best to jump on it early than to wait a few days and have a significant infection. Take care, good luck, and if you do like my videos, remember, give me a thumbs up, click subscribe, and hit the bell for future videos. Take care.